Okay, development snapshot for Android game synSpace Drone Runners, available in Google Play and for the the Amazon Fire HD. This is a Amazon Fire HD 10-inch, and I'm filming with an Amazon Fire HD 8-inch. And one of the things that's new is the Chording arpeggiator. Still need an official name for that, because it's not really an arpeggiator, because I think the signature feature of a true arpeggiator is that at performance time you hold down 3 or more keys and then it would pick, it wouldn't just play them, it would say, oh, I'll play them in the order for you, so that you're just holding your fingers still, but the piano's going do 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 do. The arpeggiation is an arpeggiation of a chord, not a sequence. So that's why there's a sequencer over here in the loops, where if you just want to program any old arbitrary thing, that's where that goes. But here I want to arpeggiate a chord, and while it's the best, you know, you're the most qualified musician if you know your chords and you can pick the 3 notes you want, and then the machine is just saying, oh, I'm just a tapping monkey and I don't know what notes these are, but I will tap them in any order you tell me to tap them. Anyway, so I guess it is good to finish this thought here. So I have 15 loops. I have them unlocked. You can select any one you want. You can long press inside of it to erase it. These are all black background telling you that they're all completely empty. And this is what an empty one looks like. Technically, it's actually playing it out loud right now, but there's nothing programmed to be played. I could just hit some notes, like I could pick an instrument like Hammond organ and just play a C scale. This button that says ARP, and someday I'll have a better name, I hope, replaces the bottom octave with this little control panel. It is the Chording arpeggiator. And the idea is that there are these things called patterns, and there are a bunch of them. But the way they're organized is you tap the pattern button. Currently we're doing pattern number 12. But I tap the pattern button, and then I select a bank, 1 through 7. Well, here you can see that 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, they all have a certain shape. So if we pick 13, so pattern 13, okay, now if I'm in the key of C major, and the 7 the 7 chords of the 1 chord, the 2 chord, the 3 chord, the 4 chord, the 7 chord are these guys here, which I think you can see. Yeah. And if I just tap one of those, here comes the C chord. Oh, I need a speed. What does that sound? Oh, it's because I got this running at the same time. Let's get rid of that. Oh, yeah, right. That was what I wanted to show you. So I've got this unlocked, right? So I'm recording into the loops right now. And normally it records what I type here on the little piano, as I demonstrated before. But it turns out that I didn't tell it not to record the stuff that the arpeggiator does. So the arpeggiator basically sits on top of the piano, and it makes all of its little decisions as to what notes should be played, but when the time comes to play them, it basically taps them out on the piano. So as far as the sequencer is concerned, these 2 notes appear to come from the same source. Okay, starting from silence. Let's change our beats per minute to 60. Let's lock that. Our metronome is running at 60 beats per minute, which is 1 beat per second. So you can see it's 0, 1000, 1, 1002, 1003. The Chording arpeggiator is going to play chords, and it's going to give you these buttons here to let you play a particular chord for a particular key signature. You can change your key signature by tapping this key signature, and you can step instantly to any of these other keys, which is only 6 of the other keys, where there are 11 other keys total. So if I wanted to get to C, C is not on the list. But if I go to B flat, C is on the list. So putting that another way, this is the circle of fifths, but it's like it's centered on your current key, and it's only half the circle. And if you want to go to your relative minor, you just have to remember that if you're a major now, your relative minor is the far right guy. And then when you pick a new key, it's going to tend to give you the major version of that key, but if you tap at the very bottom, it'll give you the minor. So I'm now A minor, A minor. But if I tap the Maj here, it'll go to A major. A minor, A major. But I can go straight to F sharp major or E minor. So my hope is, my wish is that these are the most useful keys to have available at single stepping. So I'm hoping that makes it easy to make a key change in the middle of your song. Which again, if you're a professional musician, which I am not, you should be able to do that just by, picking the right notes and playing them on time. I do not have that skill. Anyway, so because we're in latching mode, I don't have to hold the button down. If you turn off latching mode, then you have to hold the button down. So you pick a key signature with that. The speed is how many, so there's this pattern has 4 notes in it. So how fast is it going to play those notes? Well, at speed 1, it plays 1 note per beat. So at 60 beats per minute, that's 1 note per second. So tick, 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 tick. So at speed 1 with 4 notes in the pattern, boom. If I long press on pattern 13, it changes to the pattern edit mode. And so there's 4 notes in there right now, and it's the root, the third, the fifth, and the octave. If I tap the root, I add a 5th note, and now there's 5 notes in the sequence. So that's pretty cool, huh? Anyway, but I can just add more. Boom, 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 boom. But now, see, now here is where I have to be Mr. Musician and say, this is going to arpeggiate a chord. I need to provide the notes of the chord, but rather than just holding them down all at once, I am doing the arpeggiation myself. So I'm being a more sophisticated musician in that context, but I'm only doing it once. So I'm recording this pattern, whatever it is, and now it's done. And I can go ahead and close it by tapping this again or doing some other command. Oh, yeah, see? It's been playing it. It's just so slow, it's boring. Okay, so let's speed it up. So that's 4. So that's 4 notes per beat. So the beats are still 60 beats per minute. The beats are still 1 per second, but now it's 4 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the actual pattern is all complicated. Do 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 ba do 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 ba do do ba do 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 do. So speed, pattern, octave. Just I can tap at the bottom half of the key or the top half of the key, and I can go down an octave or up an octave. Velocity, I can make it quieter. I can make it louder. Whoops. Oh, I rap. Okay. So that's kind of boring. Sorry about that. If you want to record a new one at any time for any reason, you long press and you go for it. And if you play something that's not a note of the chord, and what I expect you to do basically is a major triad, but played in the order that you want the arpeggiation to happen. And the only keys I'm expecting to see from you are this major triad and the octave of the root. So I'm going to provide the major minorness later on, right? So over here, like in the key of C major, the 5 key is a major key, but the 6 key is a minor key. So I'm going to sometimes be playing A minor and sometimes be playing A major, but I want to use that same arpeggiation. So I can't play an A minor arpeggiation if you are holding an A major chord. You know, in a normal arpeggiator, you would have to do that. But in mine, I'm having you record it, and at the time you record it, I say to myself, it's major. And I guess I could say other things to myself, but right now I assume that he's giving me notes that are consistent with a major scale. So if he gives me a seventh or, you know, a second, I can sort of say, oh yeah, I understand, you know, their role in a major scale. And then when you switch to a minor scale, those spots in the arpeggiation, I can say, oh, well, I here I actually need to use the sixth instead of the seventh, or, you know, I do need to go down a half step, or I don't, you know. So let's speed it up. Let's pick a different instrument. Oh, okay, this is new. So I pick a new key signature, and let's just go to G major. Okay, so we're in G major, and we're still playing the 3 chord. So when we switch the key, we don't switch which chord within the key we're playing. But it did switch before it was not a B minor. I don't even remember, but now it is a B minor. So up at this level, when you switch to a new key, it actually has an effect down below right away. But what I wanted to show you was, let's bring this down again. Can you see that yet? I made it a little darker. Yeah, you can barely see it. So you can see that this is C4, so middle C. And that's, so that one's C4, this one is marked C3, this one is marked C5. And if I change my octave over here, where it also says C4, boom, now it says C3 because the center key is now C3. So this one's now C2 and C4. Okay, and now, back to C4, middle C. Now, the arpeggiator now is set to to G major. This is set to C4. Watch what happens when I long press on the key signature. You may not be able to tell, but that C4 turned into a G4. And we'll just close that for a moment. And see, notice my octave thing that used to say C4, it now says G4. Let's actually change that to a better key. So let's change the key signature to something that you can read like F. Ooh, okay. And now let's long press F. Okay. And now let's close our arpeggiator because we don't care anymore. And now this, instead of being C4, is F4. And you have to take my word for it that that's now an F. And over here, so if it doesn't say C, it means that you are currently transposed. Now, the white keys are the key of F major. So I play the regular triad that I would for C major, but instead of getting a C major chord, this is an F major chord. Now if I go over here, this is a good question. If I play an F major chord here, it's pattern, pattern, 1, 1. Yay! So that's cool. Since that's F major, then G minor. 1, 2, 3. Yes, that's so cool. So, is that true though? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes! That's cool. So again, it would, if this were C, D, E, F, G, it's just up one each time. So now it's F, G, A, B, F, G, A, B, C. So this is now C. So this should be C major, and it is, versus C minor, C major. But anyway, that's transposition. I don't have, if you start the program over again, it always starts off not transposed. I'm not remembering that at the moment, and don't plan to. But if you needed to get back to C major in your transposition, you basically have to move to C major through the arpeggiator and then long press. And now it's C4 again. You know, there's a whole bunch of actual patterns that I didn't literally create myself. And some of them sound interesting at a super high speed, and some instruments sound interesting. While I'm digressing, over here in knobs, there's the reverb, and it's got a few new tricks. But we turn it on, and we slide it to wet, and we slide it to there. Okay, so we're getting an echo off of a wall 138 feet away. And we're mainly hearing the echo. So the first change we're going to do is set our dry wet to 50-50. Oh, that works. That's nice. And we'll turn the volume up again. Okay, and now next we notice that there's a lot of echo, you know, regeneration. So the sound goes back in for a second time, third time, fifth time. So if we cut that down, what we're left with now is a single echo. And the echo is basically bouncing off a wall 138 feet away, which basically means that we've created a delay line. So we have just the original signal plus the signal delayed by that amount. And then by bringing the wall closer and closer, at some point it creates a chorus effect. And by changing it to more or less of the delayed signal. So this is all the dry, so that's the raw original signal. And this is half raw, half delayed. And as I bring it in closer and closer, it starts to have an effect on the tonalities. At this point, it's actually so close that it's starting to be a bit of a flange effect. Or a phaser, I'm not sure which. But these single-digit distances all make some interesting change to the tonality. After a while, it's just an echo, a single echo. That can be nice if it's in time with the rhythm. That's all the same source signal. Okay, so now let's have a range of echoes. Okay. And now let's actually add a little regeneration. So in theory, if I switch to something like, I don't know, D major, and then long press, and am now transposed to D major, well, to D, and then stop recording and make a new recording. In theory, I can use the same play style. Okay, that one's got maximum tension, just like you'd expect. Okay, well, look at that. I wrote a little piece of music, and I even recorded it so we could play it back and critique it. It's track 2. This is track 1. So then track 1 ended. So this is all just track 2. And if there was something I didn't like, you know, like if I didn't like this note here, I could move it. I'll clone this one just for fun. What should we call this? We'll call it November. Whoops. Okay, we'll call it Niven. In memory of David Niven. For no particular reason. Okay, so that's... Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so we turn that off so it's not too confusing. And what else we did? Oh, yeah, loops. Let's turn this to 1 beat per measure and switch this to 60 beats per minute. And I've unlocked the loops and I've selected loop 1, which is empty. And now I'm going to start arpeggiating in the key of D at velocity 13 with latch on. Okay, so what's happening is it's only playing 4 notes, you know, 1 note per beat. There are 4 beats in a sequence. This is 1 measure, say, 1 measure of 4 quarter notes. But what you're actually seeing here is the arpeggiator is still running. So it is generating this pattern over and over and over again at the same time that the loop system is just playing what it's got over and over again. So what happens is as it gets to each of these points, we hear 2 notes. And there you see it changed color. Oh, I'm sorry. This pattern has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 notes in it. So yeah, so this is a moving pattern. So as it plays, the whole pattern sort of shifts to the left and then wraps around to the right. But it's still an interesting test pattern because it's only affecting slots 3, 7, 11, and 15. If I go to 2 notes per beat, if I erase everything, so anyway, so as it gets to each of these squares, especially if they're changing, it's playing the old contents first, and then it's playing the new content that's being written in. So we hear two different notes. If we pick a pattern that only has 4 notes in it, like 22, and then erase. Okay, so this pattern should just use the same, we're going 2 notes first, so the same 8 notes over and over and over again. Yeah, so green and green never changes. Orange, 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 orange never changes. Blue, blue never changes. And now, using that same arpeggiation pattern, if I change keys, if I change chords from D to G, what we want is we want it to use these same 8 locations, but overwrite all of them now with the arpeggiation in the G chord. But it takes a pass-through to get them all, and in the meantime we hear the old notes. But now that we've got a 4-note sequence, it plays exactly twice in the and then repeats without any shift. So this slot 2 should stay light blue forever. Now, in fact, I know I have a bug that it will eventually start to make errors, but it seems to only happen if I go back and forth between chords. So I started doing this as a test exercise just to see if it could handle it. And notice another change is if I hold in this guy here, it tells me that that's an FM cello playing a... Ooh. It's at loudness 15. I think I'm erroneously telling you the name of the note that's playing as opposed to the name of the note that's bound to the slot. If I pause this and then hold this, it says G4 for him, B3 for him. So I've turned the arpeggiator down to level 1, and now I'll turn it off. So the arpeggiator is no longer running, but we're still hearing those notes that got fed into the sequencer. And in fact, the sequencer is still open to recording. So if I just play this key over and over again, I have played this same note, a level 15. Let's change that to level 12. Okay, so a bunch of level 12 notes. And if I long press on one of them, it sees that it's level 12. And if I want to change its amplitude while I'm holding it down, I can use the normal velocity button. So it's currently set to 12. This shows you the velocity of the keyboard always. But when I hold this button down and then use it, it goes up, 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 leaves the keyboard alone. It just redirects this button to work on the selected cell. So now I have one loud cell, this one. And so every time it comes around, you hear it louder. And if I went over here, then I could do that one, then I could do this one, I could do this one, I could. And then if these are, you know, timpani instead, like let's turn them all into hi-hats. That's not hi-hat. Oh, what octave am I? Oh, I'm transposed. Let's go to C major, and then let's... Okay, so now I'm no longer transposed. Okay, so that should be a hi-hat. Okay. So now I'm going to try and play the bass drum on the 1. Well, actually, I'm going to go ahead and put the bass drum on the 1 and the 9. But then I'm going to lower the 9 to 10. I'm going to put another bass drum. Well, no, I'm going to put some sort of a tom here. And then here. Okay, and now for the next stuff, I'm going to just play it when I feel I should play it. Hand clap. Anyway, and then you do the velocity thing to, you know, refine it. And then you'd work on another one. And you'd... That's probably not going anywhere good. Oh, I left the loops running. Huh. Back at 60. Let's do some vocoding. See where we are with that. I felt last time the harmonic suppression was getting really good, and I've been working on the rhythm detection a little bit. Let's go in music mode. So this is from the YouTube free music library, and it's called We Are One by Vexento. So let's go ahead and, oh, let's do a level check on it. Okay, so what I'm looking at here is I've got my preamp at the default plus 3 dB, which never seems to be right, so I don't know. And I'm adjusting the average amplitude to be around 20 million. And I'm playing with my my mixer sliders in my studio mixer, my cool Link mixer, loop mixer. Oh, that's why they call it loop mixer. Oh, duh. We see it's doing some, it thinks it's doing some chord detection. That looks pretty good. So the actual audio recording looks like a reasonable signal. The amplitude looks pretty good. If we were in voice mode, it's in the 50s. I like that. So we're not in voice mode. Okay, so now let's pause it. I said let's pause it. Where's all that sound coming from? Oh, I went to voice mode for a minute, so that was... I was momentarily broadcasting my voice out into the universe, and some aliens were responding there. But we'll just ignore them. Okay, so I put this guy into music mode, record, and then this guy, I go ahead and delete him. Okay, and is there anything here we want to look at? No. Oh, so note that it says it's 60 beats per minute, and we just heard it do. I'm thinking that that was more like, yeah, more like 80 beats per minute. So I just put something in today that if I'm in record, and I'm recording at 60 beats per minute, but the signal coming in is faster than that, what happens is this little bottom white line, that's a pretty good beat. And so right now I think there's 240 beats per minute. So the real number might be 120. And then maybe it'll eventually get there or not. But if you remember over here, we start off at 60, but it's coming up. But, you know, if it really is 120, we'll stick around here at 60 as a resonance. And this looks like it's going to stick to 240, so I think we're just going to be sampling. And now if we actually work it ourselves, it's boom, 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 boom. Oh, we did this one the other day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, no, that's fast. So I'm guessing it's 120 probably. Now this is mostly rhythm as opposed to periodic functions, and then it's got these stunt sweeps. But we did do this the other day, so it'll be interesting to hear if it's better or worse. Oh, we just remember everything. Again, this is copyright-free music. We Are One by Vexento. We turn this off and we wait for it to redraw up here. And it takes so long, we wonder, well, did it see the button press? And it did. And we come over here, we turn that off. Okay, so let's, first of all, let's listen to the very end in samples. And maybe we'll turn the volume down. So we got a good recording. Doesn't sound too overdriven. Okay. Let's play it again in Spectrum. That's interesting. Okay, and now we'll do it in format. So that's substantially different. Okay. So this is what just a little section of it looks like. Okay, so that's it for the spectral recording from the spectrums, but now we listen to the track it figured out from that. But after that we see this cloud here, and that's just noise. So let's go ahead and change the start point to here. And then this will be the real start of the song. So the song is that. So we'll see if we can see that. Now, in theory, if I get the beat syncing stuff working, then no matter what beat rate it's set to at the start of your recording, it should quickly sync up with the actual performer's beat. once I'm able to do that, then I can predict. Then I can schedule things to happen in the future. So that sweep worked pretty well. I remember that was pretty distorted by the harmonics before. I think the new velocities help as well, because a lot of the erroneous notes were actually weak signals, but before I would play them back as if they were really strong. This tuba? Yeah, this is tuba. It's pretty good. It's probably going to do another sweep pretty soon. Oh, I guess it already did. It was up high in the high register. Here we go. I think that's an improvement over last time. And what else would we like to see? If your sequencer is running at one rate and your arpeggiation is running at another rate, you can get some polyrhythms going. When did I do that? If this is the key of D minor, oh, right. That's not breaking any new ground. Oh, so again, so get here and it's still running and I forget, and then I have to do that. And then to be ready for next time, I have to do that. So that's a flaw. But other than that, that's pretty solid. So put that down, and that's end of film.